Oh no, Cynthia, you're going to talk about minimalism again. Stop talking about minimalism. I get it. You know, we are tired of the gray, like nothing in our homes type of minimalism. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. We're actually going to use different wording to talk about the concept that we're going to discuss, which is like intentional consumption, which is not overusing things. And we're going to link it to femininity as well as homemaking. Welcome to my series, A Real Trad Wife Reacts, where we're going to talk about underconsumption core and how it really is linked to trad core or trad femme coded. It is really an aspect of living more of a traditional life, an intentional life about what you bring into your home, into your space, and how you move throughout your life. A couple key terms I want you to think about is, like I mentioned, intentional as well as curated. I want you to live a curated life, a life that you feel fulfilled in every single day, where you wake up, where you love your surroundings, the things that you own, the choices that you make, the slow living aspects, the intentional living aspects. These are words you're going to hear throughout the next couple of minutes on repeat, but I really want to drill it into your brain and really put aside, like I mentioned, the concept of minimalism that's just been like tiresomely used over and over again, because it doesn't have to be a boring gray life if you don't want it to be. For all those of you who are new or those of you who are coming back to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, like button. If you want to support the message that I have on this channel, I would love it if you would join the member side of the channel. And just a little disclaimer, you're going to hear kids talking in the background throughout this video because I am a full-time homemaker, full-time mother. That is my vocation, that is my job, and YouTube is just a hobby that complements what I'm trying to showcase on this channel, which is joy in a traditional feminine life. So, underconsumption core, underconsumption trend, this has been taking over the internet for the past couple months, and I was on the fence about talking about it because I wasn't sure if it was just like a temporary trend that would last a couple weeks, but I continuously see people posting about this, so I'm glad to say that it's something that seems to be everlasting, that will be here to stay for at least the next couple years, and I hope indefinitely. I hope that we can reorient the way that we look at consumerism and really adapt some of these traditional values when it comes to the products that we bring into our home and how we prioritize our time to live a more wholesome traditional life that is fulfilling at the soul level. I definitely believe that we can't live the consumerism lifestyle that is pushed on us, especially in North America. We have to find other hobbies beyond just shopping and filling our life with stuff that costs money. And although those things are fun, I love, going to the store. I might be going to the mall with my husband to grab a couple things later today. I've really noticed growing up as a younger millennial as well as somebody who identifies with the Gen Z generation, a lot of our activities have solely surrounded consumerism, and it's caused for this endless cycle of leading us into like having to constantly produce and be chained to monetary value in order to have some sort of fulfillment, rather than finding activities that we can do with our family and friends outside of that. There's also this epidemic of women who are unhappy, who are on antidepressants, who have a lack of fulfillment, and that's why many of them are gravitating towards the traditional wife movement, because they're looking for purpose beyond just being this bottomless pit of consuming. Moreover, being able to afford in this economy to become a traditional wife means that you have to let go of a certain degree of consumerism. And even if you are a wealthy traditional wife, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, traditional values truly do put at the forefront quality time, slow living that just isn't in parallel with today's society. Spending time in nature, family gatherings at your home, hosting rather than solely relating to pizza takeout and DoorDash, getting back to that farm to table type of concept. These are all things and buzzwords that we've heard over the past couple of years with regards to traditional living that encompass living more of a wholesome life. So I want to give you a couple of examples that better help embody the message that I'm trying to convey today on this channel, and it is also a part of my Trad Wife Reacts series. So this video is a little bit candid. I don't have like bullet points like I usually do. So essentially I just quickly saw these videos, saved them, and we're going to watch them together to their full extent. So something in this video that I really wanted to encourage you to do is to use products to the max. I didn't even know this was possible, but cutting open your product to get every single bit of the product really cuts down on saving money long term. She also mentioned not bringing things into your home before you get rid of them, and that is just such a good rule if you have a hard time with clothing, for example. That is something that I practice. If I get something new, I have to let go of the other thing, and it also helps you stay accountable to the amount of waste that you bring into your home, because the physical act of throwing something out for the average person is going to make you feel guilty. So that is just a good rule of thumb to have. I read a quote somewhere that like the average woman in the 1950s only brought in like 10 to 12 articles of clothing. Don't quote me on that exactly, per year, and now we tend to bring in like 20 to 30 articles of clothing a year. And when you think about living a curated and feminine life, a lot of times the advice is like finding articles of clothing that are tailored to your body. Like even this shirt, based off of my natural body shape, having the detailing up here to accentuate my shoulders and create more of a like cinched waist, is something that I really had to think about before I went out and purchased just a plain white t-shirt. I was looking for a white t-shirt in my closet, but because I had those rules that I often advocate for on my channel in terms of femininity and having a curated wardrobe, I was so much more intentional with what I bought when it comes to a white t-shirt. And so it's not just about like, you know, saving the planet or like not creating so much waste. Sometimes that motivation outside of ourselves is difficult to grasp onto and to become like a better citizen of the world, so to speak, when we're struggling with everyday type of thing. And so it's normal to be more so concerned with your own comfort. And so that's why I wanted to reorient the conversation around more like minimalistic concepts, because I want you to be able to understand that it ties into femininity, because again, it's all about living an intentional life, about expressing your feminine creativity in a way that you absolutely adore. I want you to have a wardrobe that you absolutely adore, that you can just blindly pick out an item, I've said countless times on my channel, out of your closet, and you will know that you are going to love it. And this is something that traditional women of the past espoused. They had things such as like a Christmas dress that they would wear. They had certain Sunday best outfits. They weren't constantly seeking new things. They knew what they liked, what looked good on their body, and they found truly pieces that they thought were artwork to put on their body or to sew themselves that they cherished for years to come. This is more so a normal way to consume rather than what we see today. And I know some of you are going to come on here and say like, I don't think I can live this way because I love luxury or I love collections. And I'm telling you that having collections and loving luxury isn't something that you have to put aside to live more of a traditional feminine life. It is something that you can still so enjoy. I love the luxury products that I have, and I have collections such as Pyrex. Many of you who have been subscribed for a long time, you know that I have a little bit of a Pyrex addiction. But the purpose is that you have collections that you love, that you pour passion and interest in, rather than having everything a collection. The modern person has so much stuff that everything is seen as a collection if you were to be like a traditional person looking at a modern person's household, for example. And when you constantly have stuff, you are desensitized to that special experience of finding that item to fulfill your collection. This is not solely a monetary thing, although this mindset will help you be able to live as a housewife or a stay-at-home mom in this economy because you're cutting down costs. But even if you are a high-income household, this still appeals to the aspect of femininity, of expressing your creativity with cherish everything that comes into your space. So let's watch a luxury haul together. So I absolutely love that she pointed out the colors. This is something that goes along with classic femininity as well. Not going for those outlandish, seasonal, like once in a lifetime type of colors. If you're looking to add more luxury into your wardrobe, starting with the basics is going to get you there. In addition, you have to look at your actual lifestyle. A couple weeks ago, my husband spoiled me for my birthday and took me into a very nice store and bought me a very nice bag. And this this is something I haven't done for years because I used to be more so addicted to like buying and going into debt for designer bags. So I really deprogrammed myself by just like cold turkey cutting out that bad habit. But as a new mom, he knew that it was time that I had something nice that I wore every single day that would help bring the outfit together. So he offered for me to buy a couple bags, but because I really knew what worked for me as a mother, I didn't feel that need like I would in the past to just like take advantage of that opportunity and buy like a couple, like, you know, really maximize the amount of like designer stuff I have just to have that stuff, or like the largest, most expensive thing. Instead, I knew my lifestyle. I had to essentially detox from overconsumption. I don't feel like I need to go into a store anymore and have to leave with an item. So it was easy for me to pick something that was independent of price and leave with something that I can wear in my lifestyle as a busy mom almost every single day. And finally, I'm going to have to end the video soon, but let's watch another one together. So from this video, what I really wanted to accentuate is how beautiful this woman is. But like she said, she doesn't always have her nails done. She doesn't have Botox. She doesn't have an expensive wardrobe. And another message that I want to emphasize on this channel, and that's why I am so into finding products that emulate higher end products when it comes to skincare, because I want to teach you all, and I hope that it reflects in my style, how to be beautiful without having to do all that extra stuff. Now, I'm not going to judge anybody who gets Botox or filler or expensive beauty treatments. I think there is a time and place for these things. I think that if you have specific issues or specific things you want to target, that is what these procedures are really for. But I think that the normalization in terms of like prevention and getting so many people on board with doing this just regularly without a specific concern is where the problem in terms of overconsumption when it comes to beauty can be found. When you look at the women of the past, they often had a signature lip color. They often had signature powder or like a compact that they would carry with them with the powder that they preferred. They had a small makeup bag of things that they liked, and depending on their income, they could go for higher quality things rather than a plethora of different products. And thankfully, a good thing that has come out of developing the beauty industry is that, like I mentioned, we can have more so drugstore dupes for higher end products. But the goal of what I'm really trying to communicate on this channel is, again, curated, intentional creativity that is expressed in the right way rather than overwhelm. Beauty products that you don't feel like every single day you have to put an exorbitant amount of effort into getting ready. You're just able to get ready like this is actually what I look like every single day because I have those curated beauty products that I use. Being able to present yourself to the best of your ability because you know what works for you. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to traditional superficial femininity in terms of beauty and style. And these are qualities that are going to stay with your family member. They remember you when you have passed. My mom had her own signature lip color that I kept until, like, you know, it heavily expired, but I also know what she smelled like because she had a signature scent. I use more vintage beauty products. I know many of you have requested that. I'm just like waiting till I've perfected it because I've been pregnant for the past couple years and I'm almost there, and I promise I will share. When I've been researching these vintage beauty products, the reviews that I've seen are people constantly saying like, I love this product because it reminds me of my grandma. It smells like my grandma. I remember seeing it on my grandma's vanity. The uniqueness and beauty of what makes you a woman, it's just so alluring to me, and that's perhaps why I gravitate more so towards the 1950s archetype of the traditional feminine woman, not to be mistaken with the criticism that the trad wife culture has been espoused to have, that we are solely a caricature of the 1950s, because it's still that time period that is attainable, and it is still that timeless beauty that can be carried throughout all years of your life, and it isn't solely reserved for a certain age of woman. That is just so alluring to me, and that is what I want the internet and my family to remember me by. And lastly, yesterday I started this movie on Netflix, this documentary that was entitled Buy More. I am a busy mom, like I mentioned. I didn't have time to finish it until I dozed off, but we can't negate the environmental impacts as well as the economic impacts of like continuously consuming products. That just doesn't compute with living a traditional lifestyle about caring for our environment. And before you X out of this video and think that it is associated with a political side or anything of the sort that I'm going to preach to you, I want you to understand that I have absolutely no agenda when it comes to this. And I think that the fact that it has been associated with that is something that has really perverted something that is good and intentional. I also don't want my message to even be associated with that, because even like we have in my country, the political party in power has just like disgustingly taken this, you know, thing that should be a worldwide concern and has exploited the citizens for extra money. But anyway, living a traditional life is caring about the earth, about the animals, about the future for our children, also having a balanced perspective. Like I mentioned, having collections, liking nice things, taking advantage of certain modern technologies is not bad. You know, we own a very large truck, and I think that that is absolutely essential for certain people to have. I'm not telling you like drive a little tiny car. The point of what I'm trying to say is we can still enjoy modern luxuries, and we can cut down on the harm that we are doing just by espousing more traditional values. We don't have to become hippies. We don't have to force everybody through political policies to live a certain way. We can have freedom in the development of our economy and our society by simply encouraging people to live more intentional, traditional lives. Moreover, shameless plug, but being a traditional wife who lives at home also creates less waste by having a home-centered life, doing fun activities, bonding at home. These are all simple, realistic ways, again, that gives autonomy to everyday people to make their own decisions, but creates a better world. So once again, hit the like button on the video if you enjoyed this video, if you like my content. I have the link for the membership down below if you would like to continue to support my content and my message. Leave your comments down below. What do you think? Do you disagree? Do you agree? How have you changed your life when it comes to intentional consumption and curation? I always get so many ideas for many of you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.